Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC, and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. I also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to get put together live, send me a message today. Alright, so we're back here again tonight building another PC like we do. So tonight we're going to be building a PC for Justin. So Justin came to me a week or so ago, hitting me up for a PC. He'd been, I believe the story is he'd been saving up for this for a decent amount of time, I believe. So it's
long time coming.
yeah, I think so, if I can remember the story right. I talk to so many people and hear so many stories about.
Yeah, I'm starting to realise
Yeah,
how much crap
it's
you need to do, and I'm like, ooh.
yeah, no, it's a lot of different stories to remember about different people.
Oh, Tim, Caleb, and Nick say hey, Tim.
Hey Caleb, Nick and Tim. Hey guys, how you going? Good to have you with us. All right.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday night. You got the day right today, babe.
Yay!
Good stuff.
That's because I start work in the week.
Yeah, because you now you got to know because the countdown is on. All right. Well, let's go through the components here tonight. So, what have we got? Christine's put the storage drive up here. I'll put it over here. So to start with, we've got the Gigabyte B560 MDSH3 AC motherboard. This has onboard Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 4.2, so no need for dongles with this board. So for our storage, we've got one of these Kingston KC2500 500GB SSDs, which were the same price as the usual NV1s. And we've also got a 2TB Samsung SSD here for a bit of extra space. What's that?
I said everyone wants those.
What do you mean?
The Samsung.
Oh, yeah, Samsung. But this one here is just a solid state drive. So yeah, a lot of people obsess over NVMe and SSD speeds. It's
like, yeah.
I can understand when you've got two drives and you want to transfer files between those drives, having that really fast speed is very important. But there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to SSD speeds. So generally, it's not the first place you should spend heaps of money. You know, you should definitely have an NVMe SSD as a minimum, but yeah, that's one of the things that you don't fork out extra money until the rest of your system's looking pretty good, right? Because it's not a good way to spend an extra $100 by getting a really fast SSD when you haven't spent that much money on your CPU or your graphics card or something, or even your memory. I'd be spending money in those places first. So that's why you don't see Gen 4 SSDs in like every build that I do, because if it was beneficial and it made sense, then I'd be putting them in more people's PCs. I'd be suggesting them to more people, but just there's other priorities for people to spend as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
I'd be spending more on CPU and graphics card.
Yeah, in general, if you're a gamer, you spend as much money on the graphics card, and that's going to get you.
Motherboard with Wi-Fi.
Yep.
That's totally fine.
That's fine. It's about prioritizing your spend, because that's how you get the most performance for your dollar. Or you can prioritize your spend differently and be like, I don't really care too much about the performance. I'm only a really casual light gamer. I just want a PC that looks awesome. And you can prioritize that. Or you can be like, I want everything. Alrighty, so we've talked a little bit there, got a little bit distracted. We've got 16 gigabytes of a Data Spectrix D41 3200 megahertz CL16 memory here for our RAM. For our graphics card, we've got the ASRock Challenger Radeon RX 6600, our price to performance winner for a graphics card right now.
One person is going to
Oh yeah, Mick will love that. But you know, Mick knows enough to know that, you know, I just go by what's the best value for the customer and stuff at their budget. So, you know, if if Nvidia or Intel or someone release a graphics card that's better value for money than this and gets you more performance for your dollars on a budget, then you're going to see lots of Intel graphics cards when they launch here. I don't know what the pricing or the performance is going to be like on those cards, but if it's compelling, then you're instantly going to start seeing them.
Well, they have
being
said
sold
that
here.
they're going to be on the budget now.
Yeah,
so
yeah, they
we'll
are
see.
going to be on the budget end where there's a huge gaping gap in the market. So, for our power supply here, we've got a Thermaltake BX1 650 watt 80 plus bronze unit with the 5-year warranty, so a really good quality unit here. And for our case, we've got the Antec D600 Flux here, a champion case that you see here all the time. It's one of those cases that I suggest to people if they don't really have too much of a preference on a case, because it just ticks a lot of boxes in terms of its design, its price, its features, its inclusions. Yeah, it just ticks a lot of those boxes. So if the customer doesn't have any aesthetic taste or aesthetic preference when it comes to a PC case, and this is within their budget, they're going to get this case. It supports, you know, full-length graphics cards. You can put whatever graphics card you want in this case. Excellent airflow dynamics. Making you dizzy.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to show off the awesome case.
You don't need to keep turning it.
Okay.
Just leave it. There you go.
What was wrong? What was wrong with that? Alrighty.
Listen to the wife, Tim.
Yeah, I know, right?
Happy wife, happy life.
Alrighty. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at this motherboard. So what do we get on the board? Pretty good value board, this one.
It's like 149 something.
Yeah, it's under the 150. Alrighty, so let's check out the main features here of this board. So, starting up the top, we have 8 pins of CPU power. We've also got a sneaky little fan header up here as well, so don't forget about that one. We've got a little bit of a heatsink here on our MOSFET VRM, so you wouldn't want to be putting an i9 in here with this. You'd want to have a better motherboard with a bit better thermal solution there on the MOSFET VRM. Nothing going on up there, but like I said, it all depends on what CPU you want to put in this board. So there's a reason why the engineers have designed it like this, because this board's designed to go with i3s and i5 CPUs, not i7 and i9 CPUs. You could use an i7 in here, like an i7F, like not the Ks or anything like that. I wouldn't want to use a K on a board like this. You're just asking for potential problems. So that's part of the reason why. So if you've got a CPU like an i5 or an i3 or something like that, you don't need as much of a thermal solution here on the MOSFET VRM co-processors, because the more powerful CPU you put in here, the more stress it puts on all this stuff here around the CPU. So it's all about picking a board that fits with the CPU that you're choosing. So if you're just using an i5 or something like that, it's not going to stress out these components too much. If we were using an i9, yeah, probably going to put a bit more stress on that sort of stuff there. So for our socket here, it's an LGA 1200 socket, so it has the pins inside the socket underneath this flap. We've got up here, we've got our main CPU fan header here. We've got 4 slots for our memory, so
Question: what are these?
these little things. these little
The
the little chips.
Yeah. What are they for?
Oh, that will be. Don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'd have to look at the circuit diagram. You're asking me questions like what's that do there? Like I'm pointing out like the main features on the board. If I was going to tell you specifically what anything is, I'd have to get the circuit diagram up to be able to tell you because every board's slightly different. So yeah.
I kind of thought you might know.
I tell you that this stuff down here is the audio. Okay, I know that.
kind of
I
figured
recognize. So like I recognize this. I know that on the board it's always in the same spot there. Whereas up here, the actual layout board to board can be quite different. So I don't want to say, oh, it's this because it very well isn't what I think it is off the top of my head. And if I look at the circuit diagram, I'll be like, they've put that there. Okay. So
Sorry, I asked a hard
you asked me a really hard question there, babe. So I think I handled that. Pretty well. Alrighty. So around here we've got our 24-pin power. So this is the main power for everything else on our board. We've got a single little fan header here. It's not in a very good spot there. I don't really like that. It's a bit too far in on the board there, that fan header. I mean, you could do a sneaky and maybe run it discreetly with the power cable, but no, I don't like that. We probably just won't.
Too much work.
We probably just won't use that fan header in this build. We've got a USB 3 front panel connection here, and we've also got two SATA ports there in the horizontal position, plus 4 there, which you probably saw in the vertical position rather. You didn't notice them?
No.
They're right there, sticking
at other
out.
things.
Yeah, you're looking at all this other stuff on the board and going, oh, I wonder what that is. Tim will know what that is. He'll know off the top of his head. No worries.
Tim's a smart man, isn't he?
Honestly, like I could take a guess, but I would probably be wrong because you'd have to like I said, each board is different in terms of where they put individual things. So there's some general design sort of blueprints that they stick to, but as for the exact position of various systems, they can put them in different places. Anyway, so along the bottom here we've got our front panel connections here plus diagnostic speaker header. So basically these 4 pins here are for the speaker. And there's also 3 pins here for an older type of speaker. We've got 2 spare pins down here which aren't in use, and then these 4 at the end are for our front panel connections, so for our reset and power switch, HD LED and power LEDs. We've got another fan header down the bottom here. I like the position of that one, so we'll probably utilise that. We've also got our trusted platform module header for Windows 11. We've got 2 USB 2.0 headers here right next to each other. We've got a 12 volt and a 5 volt RGB header. We've also got the Q flash button to get us into the flash BIOS utility. And we've got a couple of spare headers here, so you can see where they would put probably COM port and serial port headers if we wanted to still use them. I don't know anyone who is actually still using them on the consumer side of things. There's some businesses that do still use that technology for various things, but it's pretty much redundant at this stage. And I guarantee Justin's not going to miss not having these two ports on the board there. We've got our front panel audio connection here, this header here. These little gold capacitors, our audio capacitors. All this stuff here is related to our audio system. We've got our audio headers here, sorry, our audio connections rather, on the rear I/O here. It's kind of always in that position, as close as possible to the rest of the audio stuff on the board. It's kind of like having a little sound card baked into the motherboard these days. And the obvious reason why they always put it in this spot is because they're trying to keep the audio signal as isolated from other electrical signals on the motherboard. So by keeping it down here, they're keeping it as well isolated from other systems on the board, because it's an audio signal is an electrical signal essentially, so it's subject to electromagnetic interference. So keeping all that stuff together is very important, and that's why I always know where it is on the board, because it's always in the same spot because they design it like this. So anyway, moving on, we've got our Ethernet port. We've got 4 USB 3.0s, including a Type-C down there. We've got a HDMI and display port there. Neither of these will be in use for this build. We've got our Wi-Fi. We've got 2 USB 2s and our PS2 port there as well. And then that brings us to just this stuff in the middle here. So we've got 2 M2s. We've also got our chipset here underneath this heatsink. We've got our main PCIe X16 slot, 2 little X1 slots, and obviously our Cmos battery. So this little battery here is how the motherboard remembers things like the date and time and all your system settings when you have your computer on.
All sorts of problems
Oh
when it dies.
yeah, like people, people will have all kinds of problems when that battery
It's one thing,
dies.
but it's actually just the battery.
Yeah, it's great. Like, I wouldn't say it's great. It's very frustrating for the person, but it's kind of great when they bring it to me, and it is something so simple to fix, because then they don't get a massive bill.
Yeah.
Because if that battery goes dead, then every time you turn on the computer, it's like the first time you've turned on the computer. And if you see me turn on a computer for the first time here, you'll notice that it'll take a little while for it to turn on that first time, and that's what will end up happening every time you go to turn your computer on. So a person will just rock up and be like, my computer's acting weird, it takes ages to turn on, and then it comes up on this weird screen, and something's not right, I've checked this, I've tried this, I've done this, I've done that, I've done like everything, and it's just like, all I need to do is take that battery out, put a new battery in, go into BIOS, change a couple of settings, and bang, it's ready, it's all good. So that's all the main features here on this motherboard, after I got a bit sidetracked there. Alright. Where are my regular scissors, babe? I don't even know. You normally steal them.
All this stuff is
Side up and Christmas stuff's in the way.
Oh. You have to work around it, Tim.
Alrighty, so like I said before, we've got an LGA 1200 socket here, so that means the pins are actually in the socket, and our CPU just has a heap of little touch pads on the bottom. Alrighty, so we just got to make sure that we don't damage any of the pins. So you try to get the CPU as close to the socket as you can. There are a couple little notches there to make sure you have it around the right way, and then just lightly touch the corners just to make sure it is definitely in the socket correctly. Then you can put down the lid, bit of pressure, and that will come off. And you save that. Well, I won't because I've got too many of them, but you would normally save that in case you need to send your motherboard back for a warranty claim, because they will not accept boards that don't have that little cover on them to protect the pins. So it's just one of those little rules that they have to probably try to get out of paying people's warranties. I'm pretty cynical, so don't mind me.
I think you're the most cynical person I've ever met.
Really? Really? that is one 11400 installed on our board. So the 11400 is a great CPU for gaming. It's got about 90% of the performance of like a 5600X, and it's about half the price. Yeah. Hey man.
And A says, this is my friend Justin. He's already taken these rounds at Fortnite, my guy.
Awesome. Well, he might get a bit better at Fortnite once he gets this PC. At least if he fails now, he can't blame it on like having a shit PC or something like that. I had a customer today ask me.
Butterfingers.
I had a customer today ask me. He was like, basically, I want a PC that. What did he say? I want a PC that's good enough that if I die in game, that I can only blame me and not anything else. He's like, that's the sort of PC I
remember
want.
seeing that one. I was like, I understand your frustration.
Yes. So I think I sent back, but I don't think I heard back from him. Maybe he's one of those people who just buys like the first thing he sees, and he's already, because I didn't send him a quote like immediately right
like
then.
that person that I had the other night.
Yeah, we sent him.
something
He like
on
messaged
Saturday
me,
night.
and then like 4 hours later, we get back to him with a quote,
He's
and
already
he's
bought
already
something.
bought a PC.
It's
Like-
like, dude,
Okay,
you were keen.
all right, no worries. Alrighty. So we got a single SSD.
Do you need solder?
Yeah, we need one SATA cable, no Molex cable. So there should be a Molex and two SATAs. While you're doing that, I'm going to get the SSD in.
Sorry, sneaky Kate. It's getting caught up in everything.
They're all
else. I'm
tangled.
like, where is it? I know what I'm looking for, but
Got our SSD installed.
Tim,
Yeah.
Justin says he plays COD.
Justin says he plays COD. Yeah, well, you'll have no problems playing on this system. What do you currently play on?
Tim,
Yeah.
Tommy's game says also, I've got good news. I was tinkering with the MSI afterburner and I managed to fix the overheating issue below the fan speeds issues. It still remains.
That's real weird, eh? I remember that. I remember you telling me about that one. That was strange.
Tim,
Yeah.
Justin says a PC that makes strange sounds. Well, hopefully it doesn't make those horrid like internet sounds that used to happen.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully there's no dial-up sounds coming out of it. I don't think you would. Does anyone actually have a dial-up internet
No,
plan
I'm showing
in
my age
2021?
now.
Like, no, but I just
I kind of miss those sounds though. Nostalgia.
yeah. Do you ever think you'd miss that sound?
I never thought I'd miss that sound, to be honest. When I was a
No.
kid, I was like, ugh, what the fuck is this? It's making all these horrid sounds. What the hell? Now I'm just like, oh, better times. Tim, Justin says
God.
no, like the HD will blow up.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, this is a tangled mess. It's like an RGB cable wrapped around itself underneath this controller. I had to actually remove the controller so I can do this without fucking cables running out in all random directions. That was just shit. Alright, how much more of these cables tangled? Oh my god. What's funny is they paid someone to tie up the cables here. Okay, it's starting to look a little bit more palatable. So one of the cool things with this case is it comes with a 6-device RGB and fan controller in the back here. That's addressable, so you can hook it up to the motherboard, and it's just like having everything plugged in directly to the motherboard. And you don't have to worry about any splitters or anything like that. So I'm just going to use one cable tie on these cables here just to keep them together. Alrighty, so that looks a lot neater than it was. It's a lot more manageable. And we've just got these cables down here to plug in. Alrighty, so we are looking a lot nicer around the back there. And we've got a power supply. Alrighty. These can be stashed away. Plug into one of these tucked away side cables. Yeah. No worries, man. Have a good one. No worries, man. Have a good one. Alrighty, so we've got everything all sorted out the back there. We've got this reverse fan. I'm going to install the reverse fan. Yeah, so this case doesn't just come with the 3 RGB fans, it also comes with one black fan on the back and a reverse fan down here that you mount there, which blows cool air onto the graphics card. So it's a pretty cool bonus feature that you get there with this particular case.
I like its name, Challenger graphics card.
Challenger, yes. It's on the budget end of things these days. I wouldn't really call this budget,
No.
but like
It is, but it isn't.
it is like relatively, if that makes sense. Like relative to what's out there at the moment, what's on the market. But this is really mid-range. Like, let's be honest. i5 is mid-range. It always was. Alrighty. So we've got that reverse fan installed, so we can go ahead and install our motherboard now. Probably have a couple of offsets to install in our case as well. Got an IO shield, some M2 screws, we've got these big paddles. That's a paddling. You better believe that's a paddling. I love that. I love that episode. I think the old guy spends like the entire class just telling them what a paddling is. I don't think they had time to like do anything that would constitute a paddling. Yep, and we'll have 2 offsets to install here. Standard procedure for a micro ATX board in an ATX case. So we'll just put one screw in for now because we've got some cables to run behind the motherboard. Okay. So we've got a few cables, so we could do the easy way and just like plug them in, just just like this, but then you've got cables sticking out like that, which generally don't want.
Tim?
Yeah.
Tim says he's got about 3K for his PC.
Ah, nice. That'll get you. Yeah, that'll get you a decent system.
Indeed.
Yeah, so like I say to people, the average amount of money people spend on a gaming PC, if you want to understand what other people are spending.
1.5 and 2.5, really.
No, it's more like 2,000 to 3,500.
Yeah, I guess.
Like overall. You're just talking about the quotes that I've given you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm still learning.
Your average is different to my average. No, that's fine. No, so you're getting all the relatively easy ones, and the ones with part lists and stuff like that, and then the customers that are more complicated are the ones that I deal with. Yeah, you'll get there. I'll give you more challenging ones. That'll happen in time. Be careful what you wish for. Okay, so we can start by running this sneaky front panel connection here for our audio. Down here. And Antec, being the legends that they are, have included all black cables here. And me being the idiot that I am, have put this in around the wrong way. What is that catching back there? What the fuck is that? Bloody hell. I don't know what
all
that...
sorts of fun.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what... See, this is normally the easy cable
It's
to
probably
run.
getting caught on like a bolt in the middle there or something.
Back here, and it feels like it's like catching on something. Because the idea is these thin cables here can run behind the motherboard because of the offsets there, and because they're insulated cables, it's fine. But you don't want them catching on things, because that's a recipe for disaster. Alrighty, so we've got our RGB next. Let's see how this goes. And that wasn't too much of a problem, was it? Okay. And our fans for the controller. Well, you've got to go inside here. See, the only thing you got to consider here is just where the offsets are, because you don't want the cable getting wrapped around the offset. Trying to run all the cables real discreet like this. Alright. last but definitely not least, we've got our front panel connections. I'm just going to follow a similar path to our fan. Bit of luck, all 4 of them have come through. Yep. Excellent. So then, yeah, one of these cables says RGB on it, but we're using it as the reset switch. And we've got our power LEDs. So they make them individual so you don't reverse the polarity, because you do want the power light to be, you know, on when it's on, off when it's off, not vice versa. It's pretty annoying. There's like millions of computers out there right now not configured correctly like that, and people just think the light is normal.
Oh, do I have in?
Alrighty. So believe it or not, we are nearly done. It's a very, very simple build tonight.
I see more easy builds in your future.
Yeah, this time of year coming into Christmas. Yeah.
There's a lot of young folk getting some PCs, I think.
Yep, definitely. Alrighty, that's everything we need to route in weird places. I'm happy to screw this motherboard down completely now. We just need one more. What? Yeah, that would be cool. Alrighty, so we got that. Where are our solder cables? So I want one of these 90-degree cables for this. Oh no!
What?
Wait, these are the wrong way around. These solder ports.
No.
So
What are you
what
gonna do?
it means, if you try the 90-degree solder cables in here, you've got to put them in this way.
Oop. Sorry, no.
It's not happening. So instead I've got to contort this cable.
10. 10.
Ah, that's not good. Yeah.
Tim says, I came up with a 3K for my gaming computer and I would like you to build it for me. I like build it with what?
Yeah, awesome, man. So yeah, just send me a message whenever you're ready, and we can go through it. Alrighty, so I'm gonna try to seal these two cables here together, just like that. See how I've done that?
Very good.
That'll look nice and neat. I get these to make sure that these cables here are definitely held in place so it looks neat. Okay, so I just want to route this SATA cable down here. I'm not going to plug it in just yet, but we're going to get it. We're going to get it in place. And we're just going to use one more zip tie than what we normally use. Just down here, just to keep these cables here in place. Okay, so that's looking pretty good out the front there. That's looking pretty good out the back here as well. So we've just left these cables here loose. There's no need to tie them up. They'll sit nicely at the back there. We've used a cable tie here on this thick lot of power cables here just to keep them in line, mainly at the front here, just so these look nice and neat here. I don't want anything. I also want this area here, I want this to be nice and clear. I don't want any cables showing through there. So we are all good and ready to go with our graphics card now. Sweet as. Alrighty, so here's our graphics card. Alrighty, it's all free, so we can go ahead. Okay, so what will we do with our power cable? We've got room to run it through here. I think we will. There we go. So looking nice and clean down the bottom there, with just a couple of cables over here which are unavoidable, but I am pretty happy with how that's looking. Nice clean build. So now to see if it works. Alrighty, grab a Windows USB, plug that in. Alright. You want to do the ons? It's working. It's working. Alrighty, so we don't need to do a BIOS update on this or anything. It's already running the latest BIOS. There's our NVMe SSD. And now that that's done, it is starting to rain. No, but now that that's done, we can plug in our NVMe, sorry, our SATA SSD. Oh, really? Wonder if the internet's about to die. Oh, shit. Bit of rain around.
Just a little.
So, now we'll plug some internet in.
Fast can you do it?
Huh?
How fast can you do it?
How fast can I do it? I do it as fast as I can every night.
Too slow.
I got faster internet, so it downloads fast. That's the speed increase. As soon as we were able to get gigabit internet, I was bang, straight away, done. Give it to me.
Take my
I
money.
wanted it 10 years ago. Literally, I wanted it 10 years ago.
We're a little bit behind.
Imagine what I could have done with that back then. Okay, let's tidy up some of this mess. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't think anyone uses that Windows search. I certainly don't. I hate it how it doesn't like loading that second page in Windows Update. It's very annoying. Here we goes. Okay, so that's all going on. Let's plug in my SSD. Let's put down some custom desktop icons, keep everything organized. We've got no WD. Gigabyte App Center. No Nvidia card, no AMD. Okay.
that doesn't want to play with us yet. MSI Afterburner. Alright, I think that's everything we need from in here other than our Radeon drivers. Okay, so let's do our first restart. Alright, let's see if Radeon wants to install yet. Sweet as.
While all that's going on, we'll set up that 2 terabyte SSD.
There we go. Okay. Let's try Radeon software now. Definitely don't have any other Windows updates. Yay! Alrighty, there's our graphics card drivers. Excellent. Sweet as. So we can go set up MSI Afterburner. Let's do this quickly. Okay, so we can start doing our benchmarks here. So we'll run Heaven here, out of the box settings, no anti-aliasing,